Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of Biz Buzz where we are discovering local businesses. I'm your host Joe Soares and joining me is my co-host as always Mark Leone. Welcome everybody. We have a great show for you today again with a fantastic guest. Dusty Burke from American Commercial Real Estate is our guest today. Dusty, welcome.
Thank you, Joe. Mark, thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on the show. Dusty, I know that you work for, again, American Commercial Real Estate, so that your specialty is commercial real estate. Where did you grow up, Dusty?
Sherburne, mainly, and lived there, went to school there, all the way through, almost through high school. I grew up in the late 60s and early 70s, and I was, like a lot of my peers, rebellious. And I was so rebellious that I left school in Sherburne, and I moved to Maine my senior year in high school.
That's a big move.
And I finished high school there. I finished my senior year in Newport, Maine, and graduated up there, and lived in an old Maine farmhouse, and worked in the woods as a lumberjack, and built fences, and did that for a couple of years as I was determining that I didn't really make a very good decision about leaving high school here, going to high school there, and then working in the woods up there. We used to, the lumberjacks up there, the French-Canadian guys would come down, and you'd work with those guys, and they'd come down here, and everything is paid in that industry based on your production and the number of trees you cut down and the number of pieces you can get cut, and you've got to get these trees down and cut fast. And these guys work so hard and so fast that they literally would throw their chainsaws from tree to tree to cut the tree down, drop it. As you can imagine, in that kind of environment, with those trees falling at that kind of pace, doing back-breaking work, the injury level was unbelievable.
Chainsaws flying around.
Unbelievable. And these guys, would go down, would do it for a year, 2 or 3, and then their bodies were gone. Their bodies were gone, and that was it. And I remember I was incredibly strong at the time. I remember loading 4-foot, 18-inch bolts of oak, green oak, onto the back of a truck. And I remember, there was a method you had of lifting it, getting up in your thigh, and getting it and throwing it on it. And I was unbelievably strong. I had been in absolute top shape. I'd been an athlete a little bit in high school, but I was far stronger doing that work. And I remember a guy from the Harvard football team came up who was doing some work for my father. And he came up, he's a linebacker, an all-Ivy lineman. He came up, he's 260, and I had him come out and help me for 2 or 3 hours, and he couldn't lift and throw onto the truck what I was lifting and throwing on the truck. But technique. You pay, well, it's technique, but you're also in great shape.
Yeah.
And so I was very strong, but my body paid a definite price for that kind of work. So anyway, a couple of years of that. Figured out that I didn't really want to do that.
Was that an instinctive decision? You're a senior in high school, and you decided. Did your parents move there, or you just decided, listen, I got to go to, I want to really go to high school in Maine? How did that decision?
The catch was that my father had an old farmhouse in Maine,
okay,
and a 1,000-acre farm, and he just bought it, trying to figure out what to do with it. And so I moved up there to live in the farmhouse, worked out a deal with him where I would go up there, finish school up there, look after the farm. And he saw that I had zero academic interest at that time.
Sure.
And he said, go up and see what you can do on your own. So I did, and had a little firewood business, had a little logging, worked as a lumberjack and made fences. But it's brutal work, brutal physical work, and the pay is terrible. And it's nice. You're out in the middle of nature. I remember I had a girlfriend who was a writer for the Bangor Daily News. And one day she came to me and said, come on with me up on the hill. Let's go hunting. And she'd brought me a gun. I'd never hunted before in my life. She brought me a gun. She wants to go hunting. And so I kind of open to adventure. I said, you bet. We jumped in her truck. We went up on the hill, went into the woods, and there she told me the story that she had just got in confidence from the local police chief about a murder that had taken place. She ran the local Newport beat for the Bangor Daily News about a murder that had taken place at a local gas station. And she picked this venue in which to, kind of like a Stephen King venue, in which to unveil, you know, this wild story about this devil worship cult out of East Newport, Maine, that was evidently the chief suspect in this murder that had taken place in a gas station and robbery. And that she'd gotten a tip from the chief. This is the chief. This is what they're following as their leads. And she had just got the story, and she didn't know what to do with the story. She didn't know if to go public. She wasn't sure whether or not she should submit the story, so she wanted to kick it around with me. So if bullets flew, they only flew between us that day on the hill in Maine. So anyway, I did that for a few years. I worked in Maine in the woods, and then I decided I wanted to save money and go to college. Took a job as a restaurant manager down in Boston, managed a restaurant for 3 years, and then had enough money, went to college. So I was in college a freshman when all my peers had just graduated from high school. What was good for me because I had matured, my frontal lobe had kicked in, and I was ready to understand a little bit more about how to be organized, how to think conceptually, and how to do the kinds of things that are necessary to be successful. So had a great time at college, founded the hockey program at college, and set up and ran the hockey program, got paid to run the hockey program as an undergraduate, made money running the hockey program, got academic credit running the hockey program. I was an English major, studied English, with literature major and those kinds of things, and enjoyed that a lot at UMass in Amherst.
Do you play hockey?
Play a lot of hockey.
Do you?
Yeah, yeah.
Do you still play?
Still
do you
play.
really?
Yeah, yeah, still play. Love
Good
it.
for you.
It's one of the best ways I know to embarrass yourself in public. You know, there's a lot of great ways, and that's probably the best.
Yeah.
So I had a great time, play hockey still, and all of my boys play hockey, and even my daughter.
Great.
So when did you get into the real estate business?
After college, got involved in commercial real estate, went to work for Fafford, a name well known in Milford.
Okay.
And Madeline and Howard Fafford were building their company in the 80s. I joined them in the late 80s. And I got a great opportunity to understand and see a range of commercial real estate applications. Shopping centers, income properties, income properties means selling an existing income-producing commercial property, office space, industrial space, land, residential, the whole host of commercial projects that you could you could conceive of, Fafford was involved with. So I had the chance to get a broad exposure to commercial real estate. What I decided in those 3 or 4 years of experience with Fafford was that I liked retail the most, and I came out of Fafford, went to work in Boston for a brokerage house in Boston for a year, and then set up my own company.
What do you like about the real estate portion of the real estate business, Dusty?
Well, my focus, Joe, is retail. And so what retail means is shopping center work. Retail shopping centers, businesses that sell retail to customers, restaurants, and a range of other types of businesses that have retail exposure. And I lease existing retail space, and I sell land for new retail developments, and I put together projects for new retail developments. Could be anything from a state-of-the-art gas station, convenience store, to a grocery store, to a pharmacy, to a bank, to a number of things where I go into a particular market and figure out what's missing in that market, what might be a need or demand in that market, and then try to contact the right owners and developers and tenants or users for that property, and then put them together. That's what I enjoy most. But I do a lot of representing of landlords and projects that I put together in the past where they call me up and say they've got some space to lease, can I help them with that, and so forth. So I do a lot of that.
So a lot of work with strip malls.
Strip malls, yeah.
Now,
retail,
is it true that, I've heard this before, you want to have, it's important to have what they call an anchor store?
Yes.
That's very important. Is that in fact true? Do you have to have an anchor store in order for a strip mall to be successful?
No, you don't have to, but you want to. And an anchor could be anybody from a Dunkin' Donuts in a small neighborhood strip center of even 5 to 10,000 square feet, to a grocery store in a 150, 200,000 square foot neighborhood center, to a power center where you've got anchors like Walmart or Home Depot or Lowe's, or any one of a number of other national retailers that will draw a lot of customers in, and other retailers want to be around those anchor tenants.
Yeah.
So, for example, I've just done a project with a banking client of mine up on the North Shore, where I've put the bank with the Dunkin' Donuts together in a 7,000 square foot new retail building to be developed, where I had to find the land and bring the parties together for my client, and brought in Dunkin' Donuts, and we're doing a project there. So that's a small neighborhood center, but I've also done small neighborhood gas station convenience stores, which at the state-of-the-art level are these gas stations with 5 or 6 pump islands, a convenience store, a food court, and a Dunkin' Donuts or a McDonald's on the end cap with a drive-through, and an external car wash. So that's what you would think of as a state-of-the-art convenience center, where there might be a bank ATM in there and that kind of thing as well.
Now, are there certain? So you're saying that you got the gas station, you got the convenience store, you got the coffee place, you got the car wash. They all kind of complement each other basically, and that's what you're trying to do. Is when you put these tenants in a strip mall to be successful, you want to have them sort of complement each other.
Exactly. Exactly. The more it's synergy, and synergy everybody's looking for, and the more synergy you've got, the better. But what people want in general, if they're a high traffic retail business or restaurant, is high traffic retail. So the more high traffic uses you have for a site, the more likely it is to be successful for your business, the more rent you can afford to pay, et cetera.
More people are going to want to be there.
Today, the state of the art is one of the interesting concepts today is what's kind of thought of as a mixed-use center or new town center type of project, where you encompass in a project not only retail, but also in restaurants, but also potentially recreation, including indoor and outdoor recreation, professional office space, and even municipal office space, town offices, fire station, police station. A residential component, maybe multifamily, single family, low end, middle, high end, all in one project. We recently did the leasing for Vince O'Neill and his project at Chestnut Green in Foxborough, which was the old Foxborough State Hospital site. Vince bought the site at auction, and it's really become a national example of how to do it right, how to take these old state hospital sites that have been mothballed and redevelop it into a fabulous mixed-use project, which has really become the town center in many respects, commercially, for the town of Foxborough. So that you've got all of these different components I'm talking about. Outdoor fields that have been dedicated to the town, donated to the town for soccer and other things. Municipal offices for police and fire. Office space for professional uses on site in some of the old buildings that were previously used as the state hospital, renovated buildings, make fabulous office space, very artsy, very attractive office space, and some of that is converted to multifamily space, some of it in apartments, some of it, and then there's a great deal of new construction for residential single-family homes, and then the centerpiece of the project was a retail project in which we did 55,000 square feet of retail, anchored by a Walgreens, next to a Super Stop and Shop, which was not exactly part of our project, but was next to it. And we did we pre-leased on the telephone, cold calling different businesses